So the train is leaving the station, the train has left the station, and so GCs like me are just trying to run alongside it and jump on the train and figure out how to guide it, how to be a part of that process, and how to join the journey. So the sooner you get on the train, the sooner you'll be going in the right direction. My name is George Niño. I am Executive Vice President, Legal and Compliance at Yokogawa Corporation of America. At this point, it's not an option. It's not an alternative about whether or not to adopt these tools and to use them responsibly. We should all be adopting AI in our workflow, in the way we do business. It should be an integral part of what we do. Microsoft has an annual report called the Annual Index Report that talks about how frontier firms that are moving ahead, that are moving past their competitors because they're adopting AI and AI agents and solutions. It's an existential challenge. It's also a tremendous opportunity for companies like Yokogawa, which is really leading the way in the industrial automation space. Legal departments can be somewhat antiquated. Lawyers can sometimes be the last people to adopt new and innovative tools and technologies. So I would say when I looked at my legal department initially, every area was open to and could benefit from modernization through using tools like Luminance or other AI tools. So we had to prioritize. We saw that within our organization, all these different areas were in need of being upgraded. And so really the question is only which ones do you start with first, because you're going to have to work on all of them. When ChatGPT 4 came out, we were very excited about, as a company, about figuring out different ways to adopt tools like ChatGPT 4. Soon after we started that adoption process, we started to hear about massive data breaches that were happening all over the world, including at one global technology company where someone had uploaded source code to ChatGPT because it's good at debugging source code. Someone else in that company had uploaded the most important, sensitive corporate strategic documents into ChatGPT because it's very good at summarizing those documents. As a lawyer whose primary function, whose primary role is to manage risk, when you hear about a disastrous situation like that, you feel like, first of all, we have to adopt these tools. We don't have a choice, but we have to use them responsibly, which is where creating a policy around the use of these tools was one of the very first things that I did. I used ChatGPT to help draft a ChatGPT usage policy. And then I also created training around that as well, so that we wouldn't have a repeat within our company about what happened in that other company. With new tools come new risk. There are new tools that people hadn't heard of even just a couple of years ago, like Synthesia or Notebook ML. We have to constantly adjust our policies to account for these new tools or to account for the upgrade or development of even more powerful versions, for example, of ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity. I have spent more time since the advent of ChatGPT 4 working with our IT and Chief Information Security Officer, those teams that I had worked with from time to time before. Now we're conversing, we're collaborating almost daily. And that's because these tools are so powerful that we want everyone to use them and to use them responsibly, but they also come with great risk. In the past, you've had threat actors, hackers who are trying to penetrate systems, penetrate into companies, and they've spent a lot of time and effort and money doing that. Now, if people are not using these tools responsibly, they might just upload information like source code. So it's like a reverse hack. If you're not teaching responsible use of these tools, companies run a lot of risk related to their intellectual property and trade secrets. Luminance has been a game changer for us. We have been able to use its contract search function to search our existing contracts, to analyze the data in those contracts in a way that we never had before. For example, COVID comes along, or tariffs come along, or some future issue comes along, and you need to understand what your exposure is in your contracts. on those particular topics. You can query the system, you can analyze your contracts in a way that could take maybe minutes of your time instead of hours or days of your time. It's opened up our eyes to whole new possibilities in terms of efficiency related to contract negotiation. We have team members who are 30 or 40% faster in doing contract reviews than they were before. And so that has been an extraordinary boost in efficiency for our team. And so we've seen that, for example, with Luminance. We initially were adopting it, and we have adopted it within the legal team for contract review, contract analysis. When other teams within our organization, like the HR team, the marketing team, sales teams, and they all saw how much more efficient we were, they wanted to adopt the tool as well. So we have rolled it out internally to other teams. And that wasn't something we initially thought about, but these other teams are also very excited and satisfied to use it. So Luminance is just one example, but AI should be adopted across all workflows in all areas. I'm convinced that it'll make anyone's job more efficient, and so they can spend more time doing things that they are excited to do at work or at home. Team members want to use these tools. They want to embrace new technologies that will make their professional lives easier so they can focus on more interesting, sometimes more complicated other areas of their practice. For example, if people are working on using contract tools, and they can review contracts faster, then they can spend more time on other areas like M&A matters, other legally interesting areas that they might have an interest in that they couldn't get to before because of the time commitment of contract review. I think that what we're going to see, we're already seeing the advent of the age of agents, artificial intelligence agents that you can empower to go out and actually execute things for you. Mark Benioff, the president of Salesforce, said that he will be the last CEO to only manage humans. In fact, he's already managing human and agent teams. And so I think that's definitely where we're headed, where the legal department, my department, for example, other legal departments will be a combination of human and agent teams. And ultimately, the humans will just be managing and checking in on the work of the agents, but the agents will be out there executing everything from contract review to other legal responsibilities. I think innovation means to me that you should be intellectually curious always. I think we should all be innovating, constantly learning, constantly figuring out new ways to do things. I'm obsessed about AI at this point, for example. I read about it, I listen to lectures about it. That's really what I do with my spare time. Other people on the team don't have to have that level of interest in AI, but I feel like everyone on our team has a particular interest that they're focused on. I encourage all of our team members to go out and get more certifications, more training. In this new artificial intelligence environment, we need to be constantly learning, constantly upgrading our skill set. So lately, what I've been doing is on a commute, for example, I'll turn on a chatbot like Claude or Perplexity. I'll put it in audio mode. I'll start speaking to it, and I might ask it questions, and we'll have a conversation while I'm driving to work. So, for example, I might say, teach me about quantum physics as if I were a 12-year-old, and it'll start talking to me about quantum physics. It'll tell me about quantum entanglement, and I'll say, well, tell me more about that particular concept. So I guess the short version of that is lately I've been creating essentially my own tailored podcast, if you will, where I'm just having a conversation with a chatbot and learning along the way, and that's been very useful for me. One of the things I like to talk about when I talk about artificial intelligence and adopting these powerful new tools is the fact that we should all strive to be what I've described as digital Sherpas, people who learn about these tools and then share that knowledge and experience with others in their community. But everyone's trying to figure out how to use these tools. And if you can be the person who knows just a little bit more than someone else and then take that extra step to share it with others, you're empowering your communities, whether professionally or personally. You're making a difference in other people's lives. And by teaching others, you're also reinforcing the knowledge that you yourself are developing. So I'm a big fan of being a digital Sherpa and empowering others to do the same.